and their families. The cycles of the agricultural year and the season of the military campaigning were the same too. March, the month of Mars, the god of war, heralded the period of greatest activity. By the time October came around, the tools of the farmer and the weapons of the soldier were put away for the winter. Above all, however, it was the characteristics of soldier and peasant that had become fused in the Roman. The virtues that made a good farmer also made a good fighter. Patriotism, selflessness, industriousness, and a hardy ability to persevere in the face of adversity would not only make a farm or a plot of land productive. These were the same virtues that would build the greatest empire of the ancient world. This, at least, is how the Romans liked to see themselves. It was a comforting view. The poet Virgil, who composed the epic story of Aeneas's foundation of Rome, neatly summed this up. The Roman peasant soldiers, he said, were like bees. They were not individuals, but a highly organized community striving together. Like Aeneas, these little Romans worked hard, were dutiful, and patriotically repressed their private desires to the greater good of the group. Yes, some died from their exertions along the way, but the race as a whole flourished. And the glowing, lucent honey they produced? This was pure gold, the product of a golden age, the riches of an entire empire. However, as in the story of Aeneas's violent struggle to found Rome, the rural ideal of the bees clashed with the reality. Away from the hive, observed Virgil, the bees were also capable of waging venomous war on outsiders. But outsiders were not their only enemy. With their wings flashing, their stings whetted, and their arms ready for battle, they reserved their most vicious attacks for inside the hive, for an internecine war on themselves. Lurking behind the rustic virtues of the hardy peasant, behind his honor and his steadfastness, said Virgil, was something quite opposite. The chaos of passion, the irrationality of war, and, worse, the messy brutality of civil war. This was the true theme of Rome's foundation. It was one that would reverberate throughout the history of the empire that the city-state would create. It would characterize the eventual fall of Rome as much as its earliest foundation and its incredible rise. The site of the city that the mythical Aeneas first set eyes on was located 24 kilometers, 15 miles, inland near a river, the Tiber. Made up of 7 compact hills, it seems today like a small, unprepossessing place for the capital of an empire that would rule over the known world. There was no immediate port giving on to the sea's trade routes, and the marshes lying at the bottom of the hills, subject to overspills from the Tiber, had to be drained before settlement could spread there. Nonetheless, on the Palatine Hill, the future residence of Roman emperors, a series of stone and wooden shepherds' huts formed the first settlement at the very start of the Iron Age in 1000 BC. And from that time on, it would be continually inhabited. By the 7th century BC, that community on the Palatine joined together with others on the Quirinal, Aventine, and Caelian hills. Soon the Esquiline and Viminal hills also were deforested, levelled and terraced to make homes for other settlers. The Capitoline Hill, which was nearest to the river, became the settlement's acropolis and the home for the temple of the shepherd's principal deity, Jupiter. The area at the foot of these hills, once the place where the shepherds grazed their flocks, was drained and filled. The meeting place of the Roman Forum soon formed the city.